We're live.
10 seconds.
Welcome to this week's edition of Special Prosecutor with Larry Klayman, our weekly radio show. In effect, it's now digital. I'm very proud to be joined by my friend and colleague, Judah Friedman, a wise sage who gives his 2 cents on a variety of issues. He's not my yes man. When I tell him to say no, he says no. I'm just joking, of course. He's also the host of The World According to Ben Stein. You know, I've made a New Year's resolution kind of late. I want to inject more humor into the sad state of affairs that we live in this country and the world. But I'll tell you something, Judah, this week, there's some very, very bad news, and we're going to talk about it here. But let's first talk about Memorial Day. We have to honor our servicemen and servicewomen who have died and been maimed in pursuit of freedom around the world. Unfortunately, they have not been treated correctly by the military brass at the Pentagon, or for that matter, presidents of this country. We haven't won, excuse the French, a friggin' war since World War II. And I wouldn't say that Desert Storm was a victory given what happened after that, because Bush the dad never finished the job and left it to his son, who then messed the whole thing up. And now Iran, by the military brass. Now Iraq is greater Iran, presidents of this country. But let's get into the nitty gritty here. You know, I've represented military families for a long time. I've represented Ty Woods and Sean Smith's parents who died at Benghazi. I've represented the families of Extortion 17 who died in a helicopter attack over the Tangi Valley in Afghanistan and never explained, never given an explanation. Saw a judge dismiss a case I brought against Hillary Clinton for wrongful death over that on the eve of Memorial Day. I've represented Jack Daly, who was a Navy lieutenant commander who flew over Puget Sound with Canadian forces to surveil Russian fishing boats that were spying on our nuclear fleet, only to see a judge in Seattle, ultimately, when I sued the fleet, invite Russian judges into the courtroom right in front of the jury. This is the way our brave men and women have been treated. Over 22 commit suicide every day as a result of PTSD, and they continue to be sent into foreign wars where we have no desire to win, only for political purposes, only to be sacrificed, only to have their parents see their kids die for absolutely little to no reason. So I want to get your comments on this on Memorial Day, because we need to start standing up for them. And we are doing that at Freedom Watch, and I hope people will support us in that regard at freedomwatchusa.org. Because if we don't do it, no one else will. I mean, there are groups out there that are, building houses for the veterans that have come back dismembered and this and that, but no one is standing up for them legally, really. And that's what we intend to do at Freedom Watch. So thank God for our servicemen and women. We need to honor them. We need to educate them. Before they enlist into the military, they should know what they're getting into these days, with a Secretary of Defense that is more concerned with LGBTQT rights than fighting wars, and no one disrespects the rights of gay, lesbians, and others to live their lives in peace and to have rights. But that's not the emphasis of the military. So give me your thoughts, Judah, on that on this hallowed Memorial Day weekend. Judah, are you there?
I think I lost you for a second. Sorry about that. It says my internet connection is unstable. Sorry about that, but you're 100% right. And this is one of the things that Trump was really working on, and he was doing an amazing job with reshaping the VA. And the second Biden came in, he, again, one of the other things he stripped it down of. And I have a friend that has a hearing issue, a vet, and the hoops that he has to jump through, because it's graded level by how much you receive in benefits, right? And the hoops that he has to jump through to just get benefits for his loss of hearing. He can't go to an outside doctor because it's not compatible with what the VA's. It's just this whole mess. And I've always said this: every vet should be allowed to go to any doctor in America and be the first in line. I don't even know why we even question that. I don't even know how that could even be a doubt. And I will gladly, we look at where we spend our tax dollars. I'm 100% okay with our tax dollars going for that. And the fact that we don't have that is an embarrassment.
No, it is. And what's more embarrassing, I remember years ago, I was walking through the equivalent of Arlington Cemetery in Los Angeles. It's up close to the 405, trying to walk between graves. John Voight, the actor, who's a friend of mine, was doing a tribute. And I was thinking, look at these kids that have died in wars that accomplished nothing. And they've been sacrificed in that way. What did we accomplish in Vietnam? Nothing. What did we accomplish in Iraq? We turned it into greater Iran. What did we accomplish in Afghanistan? Less than nothing. And what are we now doing? We're degrading the military at a time that we're probably going to have to fight some more wars directly, not through surrogates. And we've got a Secretary of Defense, an affirmative action Secretary of Defense, who is not up to speed. I mean, if you want a minority Secretary of Defense, there are plenty of bright ones out there, but this guy is not the one. Like Mayorkas, you know, the member of the Marxian Jewish left, is a complete moron who runs HHS. You put these people in here just because of their race or religion or political ideology, and the country's driven into the ground. But the sad part is that we've sacrificed our young people for wars that were impossible to win because we didn't give them the means to win. And then we pulled out and abandoned our allies, abandoned them. And this is what's really, really troubling this Memorial Day. And it reminds me of this judge, Amy Berman Jackson. I alluded to it earlier, where I brought a wrongful death case against Hillary Clinton and defamation for using her private email server as Secretary of State, which even Comey agreed, the FBI director at the time, was hacked by 8 adversaries, likely terrorist groups. They found their way to Ambassador Chris Stevens in Benghazi and killed my client's sons. And this judge, Amy Berman Jackson, a complete leftist hack, one of many on the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, dismissed the case on the eve of Memorial Day as my parents' clients were grieving. Can you imagine that? So this is what we're dealing with, and it's time for the American people to stand up and support their brave fighting men and women. But
Can I take it a step further?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because it's very interesting. I mean, obviously, I'm not a Bushite, a Bushy, or whatever you want to call it. Did I support it in the beginning, like most Republicans, 100%? When I saw what was going on, I thought it was an atrocity what Bush had committed, and Cheney. And I find it amazing. Trump was president for 4 years, and we had peace and prosperity. We had peace and prosperity. If when he made a promise, if you cross that red line and one soldier gets hurt or killed, Baghdadi, Soleimani. And that's why that's why a lot of people love Trump. When Syria acted up in 2018, they got the Moab. And I find it amazing. So Nikki Haley came out and supported Trump, and great. I'm very happy she did. And you have degenerates like Nicole Wallace on MSNBC, a degenerate column of human sewage, who comes on the air and says that it's a cult. People, we need psychiatry for people like us that don't believe in war. And I'm thinking to myself, you're a Bushite, you're a Bush fan. You're a fan of a guy that sent thousands of soldiers.
Yeah, neocons.
But
neocons.
Right. And I'm thinking to myself, we're the ones that need psychological help. You got our soldiers killed, you got our soldiers maimed, and you're still supporting that guy. Well, we're supporting a group that doesn't want wars anymore and doesn't want that. We realize we need a big stick, but we don't want our soldiers dying. And we're the ones that need help. And I wish Republicans had that answer, had that response.
They did in the days of Teddy Roosevelt and Ronald Reagan. What did Teddy Roosevelt say? Speak softly and carry a big stick. What did Ronald Reagan do when Gaddafi shot down TWA flight, whatever it was, or I forget the number, over Lockerbie, Scotland? he bombed the hell out of Gaddafi in his palace. In fact, he wound up killing some of Gaddafi's kids. No one condones that, but that shut Gaddafi up for the remainder of the time that he was dictator of Libya.
100%.
And now what do we have? We have people like Anthony Blinken, perfect name for him, Blink, Mr. Blink, who I was watching something last week where there was a hearing and somebody was screaming behind him and he goes like this. I mean, the guy is scared of his shadow. He's a disgrace. He's a socialist, Marxist disgrace, a disgrace to the Jewish people who he sold out with Israel. And this guy's in control. And he just happened to be the one, by the way, that signed the letter that said that Hunter's laptop was misinformation. Now we know that our so-called government claims that in fact it was genuine and it's being introduced as evidence in Hunter's gun trial next week. So this is what you're dealing with here. But the fact is that our American servicemen are being used and abused. You know, they take it hook, line, and sinker, you know, that they can join the military. And I would have gone to Vietnam if I had been drafted. Nixon ended it the year I graduated from Duke. But, you know, I'm not sure I would allow any kid of mine to go anymore because of the misuse of human resource in fighting wars. And, you know, all we're doing is harming our own kids and our generation. But let's flip over to another subject now, which is Israel, which is the International Court of Justice. By the way, I studied there when I was in law school for a summer, and the International Criminal Court, which sits under it, has now issued an order, I believe it's unanimous, with 18 judges, mostly European third world countries, that says that Israel must stop the war in Gaza. Not only that, they're about ready to issue arrest warrants for Prime Minister Netanyahu. Frankly, I don't even like. You know, I could care less whether he's arrested or not for that matter, but not because of what he's done, but because what he hasn't done, because he and his clowns in Israel, and that's what they are, they dilly-dallied around so long that now there's an order that they cannot wage the war. Now, what's going to happen after that? Remember, the only sanctions that have ever worked were the sanctions against South Africa over apartheid. The entire world, or most of the entire world, joined them. Israel is now going to get sanctioned if they don't stop the war by most of the Western world, in addition to the third world. Trade will be curtailed significantly, if not cut off in whole or in part. And by waiting around, dilly-dallying around with their hands on their private parts, excuse the French, they have created a real crisis for their country, notwithstanding the fact that Netanyahu and company were asleep at the switch leading up to October 6th, much like Bush and Cheney were with 9/11. They had warnings about 9/11. So I am madder than hell, frankly, right now. And as far as I'm concerned, I think probably the war in Gaza is mostly over and Hamas will continue to exist. And that'll be a threat to the United States as well.
Well, you know, this is where you and I disagree a little bit with each other and first of all, what actually the ruling says is that they are allowed to continue to fight in Gaza as long as they do not commit genocide. I mean, I'm not kidding. You can't make this stuff up.
They've already ruled that they're committing genocide. So
so that they're allowed again. I don't get. Here's the reality. To me, take everything out of the equation. We have allowed the ICC, which is nothing. It's a joke. We have allowed the United Nations, which is a joke. We have allowed the WHO, which is a joke, to essentially, and I've brought this up, to basically, we are ceding our power to the United Nations. Now, today, 26 governors came out, as Biden said, in the next pandemic, the WHO is in charge, and they said no. And good for those 26 or 27 governors that said this. But this is the path we're on.
Well, Peter, here's what you're missing in your analysis, okay? Is that it's not just that the United Nations is illegitimate. It is. I advocated its abolition when I ran for the U.S. Senate in Florida. Many people have. It goes way back to when I was a young intern working for Dick Schweiker, senator from Pennsylvania. It's been out there for a long time. It's a waste of money. It allows foreign diplomats to come into the United States with diplomatic visas and spy on the United States and do God knows what else. But what the United Nations has done through the International Court of Justice has set Israel up for a worldwide boycott. That's going to happen. The threat's going to happen.
And but my point is, I'm okay with that.
Well, that's not okay for Israel, though.
No,
It took down South Africa, which was richer than Israel. Took them down, okay? And it was good that it took them down at the time because that was justified.
I understand. I want to know who our enemies are. So good. Germany showing their true colors once again. It's good. Germany, you're going to arrest Netanyahu if he goes there. I want to see who these people are. I want to know. This is everything that's coming up right now has been laying dormant with these different countries for God knows how many years. This anti-Israel hatred, this BDS movement, all this stuff has been going on for God knows how long.
I know, but the point that you're missing, my good friend and colleague, is not that this is an atrocity, not that it's an abortion of justice, but what is now going to happen to Israel. It is going to happen unless they stop the war. It will happen because there are enough Western powers now that are on board for a boycott. And of course, the third world will agree. Now, Israel, grows its own food, so at least they'll have something to eat. But talk about the trade and high tech and technology and everything else. It's going to bring the Israelis to their knees. And who is responsible for this? The Israeli leadership is responsible for this. There's an old adage: when you get up on the dance floor, either you dance or you sit down.
Larry, you're contradicting yourself because if he had gone in and done this and taken out Gaza, we have the same result.
No, you would not. Well, at least you would have gotten rid of Hamas. Now you're not going to get rid of them.
Hamas has 3 battalions at most.
I'll tell you also another thing. It's a disgrace that Biden.
When was the last time you were in Israel?
It's a disgrace. About 5 years ago. It's a disgrace that I've gone 4 times. It's a disgrace that our own country did not come to the aid of Israel to help take care of business. We have all these forces over there. All we did was shoot down a few Houthi drones and not very successfully, by the way. It's an absolute disgrace. And that's another affront to our military because it's never being used in the way that it was intended to be used. It's a disgrace.
My point
Let me finish. It's a disgrace that given the opportunity when the Iranians sent 300 missiles into Israel, that we didn't then take out their atomic sites. They're only days away from atomic bombs. Of course, I think they already have them. That's a disgrace too. So if you have a military that can get the job done, you use it. When you get up on the dance floor, you dance or you sit down. If you want to play games, now you're in a situation where it's too late, both with regard to nuclear Iran and with regard to taking out Hamas.
I'm not sure you understand, though, how it works there. Netanyahu just doesn't get to flip the switch and say the military goes in.
No, the others are responsible, too. I agree.
It's up to the military. And when he fired Gallant, he had to rehire him. People forget what led up to October 7th, which was American interference for the better part of 11 months. They were doing in Israel what they did in the United States for 4 years, was trying to delegitimize our government.
Well, I'm not saying that Netanyahu is solely responsible. He, of course, is prime minister and he's the head of the government. I'm not saying he is. What I'm saying is that the Israelis now have dug themselves a huge ditch. And the United States has participated in that. We had the opportunity to take out the Iranian nuclear sites. We have the weapons. We could do it. It's too late now. And this is what the world finds itself in right now.
The world finds but again, I get back to this. The world finds itself back in this mess is because we have the weakest and worst leadership that we have had. I would even go further than Jimmy Carter. Okay. We have the worst American leadership. The fact that we have allowed these other countries, our NATO allies, all the NATO allies. I love that Turkey is an ally in NATO, that we have allowed this to happen. You're right. I blame this solely on America. I blame this solely on Biden right now because and these people, because I believe this is what they want. I don't even think
Biden. What was this Biden? prior presidents should have taken out those nuclear sites. It wasn't just Biden.
No. What I'm
He's the worst.
saying,
It certainly is the worst. I mean, he's a criminal. He's brain dead. He's stupid. And, even Democrats want him gone at this point because anybody can beat him in an election at this point. And he will be gone, believe me, after the first debate. When he falls off the stage, he'll be gone and you'll never see him again. But the point I'm making here is that this, and this harkens back to Memorial Day, as to how men and women, not just in our military, but around the world, in countries like Israel, in free countries, are being misused, are being sacrificed for no reason. Just today, or last Thursday, 4 new dead hostages were found. By effing around this long, you could expect those hostages to all be dead at this point. That's why they can't reach a deal, because
they were dead right away.
Hamas can't say that they have anybody left to release. There's nothing
because they were dead right away, and we all knew this.
Most of them were.
Most of them. This isn't because they dilly-dally. They couldn't get in there and get them. They were dead.
Oh, there were 120 that were released.
But I'm saying, but other than them, they were dead. These people that they found today were probably dead on October 7th.
I know, and then the Israeli government plays the game. Oh, we want to get the hostages back. The Israelis have the best intelligence service in the world.
Not in Gaza.
CIA look like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts.
Not in Gaza.
They knew. They knew.
They do not have the best in Gaza, and they have the best, obviously, in every other area. Gaza is 25 miles long. This isn't like the other places, whether it be Lebanon or all these, or the West Bank or any of these other areas where Israel has in major intelligence. In Gaza, they have not had the best intelligence because it's not as simple. When you have a territory of 23 miles, everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody.
My good friend, you're missing the point. Okay, it's not here to make excuses for what didn't happen. When after October 6th, they should have gone in quickly to all of Gaza and cleaned out the rat's nest as soon as possible, and not allowed this to build up, this worldwide resistance. Anti-Semitism for Jewish people in this country, it spills over to Christians as well. We're brothers and sisters. They have created this by hesitation. The other expression, he who hesitates will fail, and the Israelis have failed.
We're going to agree to disagree on this.
All right, we'll see.
Because
mark my word. Within 2 or 3 weeks, there'll be worldwide sanctions against Israel. Israel will have a noose around its neck.
They already have a noose around their neck. They always have a noose around their neck. We're just witnessing that noose out loud. Conservatives have a noose around their neck. Every client of yours has a noose.
Cut them off economically from the rest of the world. That has never happened before.
And again, that's because our regime that is in charge right now.
Great, Jude. I agree. I agree with you, but that doesn't solve the problem, does it?
No, it depends. So
this happened or that happened. We didn't.
But it wouldn't have mattered. But it wouldn't have mattered. This is what this regime has allowed.
Well, here's what they need to do right now, but they're not going to do it. They need to go in and just clean the whole place out right away in the next week.
You're 100% correct. I've been saying that for 6 months. You're 100% correct, but you're 1,000,000% correct.
Won't happen.
It probably won't.
Yeah,
it probably won't. And you're 100% correct. But never in Israel's wildest dreams, and never in many people's wildest dreams, did they think that this government, not just the State Department, we could always count on them to be degenerates. But they never thought that they'd be at this juncture. I don't think anybody thought we'd be at this juncture. I mean, you could have seen it coming a little bit, but yeah, it's a very precarious situation.
Even Trump could not have stopped it. Even he could not have stopped it.
Oh, the difference is this never doesn't happen with Trump.
Because the Europeans and these third world nations, they were going to buckle at some point with Trump or without Trump. The point is that you go in, if you got cancer and it's diagnosed, you go in the next day and you have it taken out. If not, if you let it grow, it spreads to your organs and you're dead. and it has spread to the organs not just of Israel, but the United States and those who support Israel. It's even spread to Saudi Arabia and Arab states, because now they're in the deep you know what with Hamas remaining. The Hamas would like to lop the heads off of the royal family in Saudi Arabia. They want Mecca. These radical Muslims want the oil, and that's why Saudi Arabia is now talking about a security pact with the United States, where they're making significant compromises because they know they're in the deep shit, excuse the French. So we have created a situation by hesitating, by doing nothing, by not going in forcefully. We could have taken care of the Iranian nuclear reactors years ago. We did. Trump didn't do that either. He didn't do that. What did he do? He abrogated an agreement. What does that do?
Doesn't he did a lot. He
doesn't do shit. It doesn't do shit.
He did the sanctions he put on Iran. Let's not forget the sanctions he put on Iran were devastating to them. We can't.
They continued their nuclear march.
Yeah, again, because Obama, in his infinite brilliant wisdom, didn't stand with the People's Rebellion against the Ayatollahs. And it's the reverse of what Carter did when
I'm talking about not hindsight. I'm talking about what needs to be done now. And look, 300 missiles into Israel. Was that the perfect opportunity to take out the nuclear sites for the United States and Israel and even Saudi Arabia, for that matter, to go in there and take it all out? We have the bombs to do it. We've been testing them for years. And if we have them, why aren't we using them? What are we afraid of with the Iranians? They're cockroaches, okay? They're cockroaches. They'll exist forever, okay, unless you take them out. I'm not talking about the people of Iran. I'm talking about the leadership.
Okay, understand if you take out
the Revolutionary Guard and the nuclear sites.
If you take out
all these excuses, you can make all these excuses, but the bottom line is we're in the deep shit right now.
I'm not making any excuses. I'm just saying what you're saying is your opinion on how you take care of something. I'm saying how my opinion is on how you take it. I'm not giving excuses.
So what are you suggesting that Israel does at this point?
What am I suggesting that Israel does at this point? I said to you, I completely agree. You take out Gaza. Israel does not have the capabilities by themselves to take out Iran. They just simply do not. They do not have the weaponry to do it. They don't. They could pick off the scientists one by one, and they could put the computer generated and take out their technology. But they don't have the weaponry to just go in there and do that. They need help.
Well, they do have the weaponry. Okay, you know, we've had it for decades. You have neutron bombs. I'm sure Israel has them. They don't even give off radiation. It's nuclear, but it dig a very big hole. Believe me, they work. Bush should have used it. The moron George W. Bush should have used it at Tora Bora and taken care of Osama bin Laden. Then he didn't use that, you know. And we've always said if we're attacked to that degree, we will use what we have to use. And unfortunately, we saw what happened after that.
A person that I disagree with a lot, right after October 7th, said something that we should have done immediately. Was take out their refineries one by one. We should have systematically taken out their refineries. So that's their biggest source of revenue. That's their biggest leverage they have with China. That's their biggest leverage they have with Russia. We should have done that immediately. Yeah.
After 9/11?
But no, after October 7th.
Oh, well,
and after 9/11. Pick a year, we should have done that. But the point being is, with the oil sanctions that happened, that Trump levied on them, they were broke. They had no money.
Yeah, and you take out the oil and the price of oil goes up. Okay, it affects American consumers. It's already high. California, some places, it's near $7 right now. It's very high in the rest of the country. So you're shooting yourself in the foot. We shot ourselves in the foot with Russian sanctions. The Russians are not stupid people. They came up with an alternative monetary system, which is screwing over the dollar right now. The dollar is on the verge of not becoming the principal currency anymore, which affects world trade. And so consequently, yeah, you can do all that stuff, but you get to the root of the problem. You destroy them militarily, and it needs to be done now.
Again, we're talking about putting soldiers on the ground, which Americans at this point will not stand for.
Soldiers on the ground? We have bunker busting bombs. We have tactical nuclear weapons that don't give off radiation. Take the whole friggin' place out in terms of the military installations, the Revolutionary Guard. Do it quickly, do it all in mass overnight, and get the job done.
I don't see that as a possibility.
No, I agree with you because nobody has the guts to do it.
And secondly, if you take out nuclear reactors, you are releasing nuclear material, which will 6 of 1. But to say that taking out their refineries will hurt us again, Saudi Arabia, that was a whole reason why they were not selling us oil when we went begging over there. First of all, we stopped drilling here. We stopped fracking as much as we needed to. We were energy independent 3.5 years ago. We were oil independent 3.5 years ago. We were all these things independent. Pennsylvania will be the richest state in America if we continue drilling over there. We really do not need, do we need, obviously, do we need oil and do we need certain things from other countries? 100%. We don't need it from Iran. Russia does. China does. We don't need that utility that they're offering. So I see make them go broke.
Yeah, that's all well and good. I agree with you, Judah. By the way, Pennsylvania, when I was a kid, was the richest state in the country, and then the labor unions destroyed it.
Amazing.
Maybe this will bring it back. Keystone State. But here's the thing. We are now facing a significant military threat, a terrorist threat. And what do you do about it? You keep making keep making excuses as to why you can't act now, keep dilly-dallying about for much longer. We've got a tinderbox in the Middle East. We've got one on the horizon in Ukraine. Ukraine's now losing, and they will probably lose most of Ukraine at some point, and then Russia will go on to other countries like Poland or others. We've got a pending likelihood of war in Asia, for that matter, and God knows where else. So we have to show some resolve and strength right now. And we just can't.
Oh, we're not going to.
Oh, it's Biden's fault or this person's fault or whatever's fault or it's Bush's fault. And I'll be honest, people can figure out who I'll vote for. People can figure out who I support. I don't tell people to vote for. But with regard to Trump, he didn't do enough either. That's to be candid. He didn't do enough.
Well, okay, let me ask you a question. What more did you want Trump to do? He literally bankrupted Iran.
He should have bombed the shit out of the
other than you wanting him to bomb the shit out of Iran, he literally put them on he made them irrelevant without having to do anything.
It wasn't irrelevant. They continued their nuclear program.
Well, because we've released $180 million to them at least.
They could have done it with or without that. It would have been financed by China. It would have been financed by Russia.
It would have been so much harder. They were so close to being taken to being
They were close
back.
to nuclear weapons even when Trump became president. They were close.
Okay, but again, they were so isolated. They were so close to the Ayatollah. There's the problem when you're dealing with these crazy mullahs and these crazy Ayatollahs. There's always going to be another crazy Ayatollah, and there's always going to be another crazy.
Well, when you take care of a cancer, you get all the cells, okay?
Yeah.
So you get all the cells, there will be no more crazy Ayatollahs.
I don't exactly know what that means, but
I mean, you take them all out. You take them.
Yeah, and that was in the process of happening. That was actually happening. We didn't need weaponry to do that. They were becoming irrelevant.
There's a phrase in the law, res ipsa loquitur. The facts speak for themselves. You don't even have to get into the facts. You just have to present liability in court. The facts speak for themselves. The fact that we're in this position makes all of the excuses irrelevant. We are in this position now. What do we do about it?
There's nothing we could do about it now. There's literally.
Then let's just all go out and commit suicide then.
No, you're asking for an impossibility. There's zero we could do about it now because we have this regime in power. There's zero we could do about it. Whether that's waiting 7 months or 8 months.
You get American bombers and with Israeli support, possibly Saudi support, en masse, and you take them out.
Who? Who?
The nuclear facilities in Iran.
But I'm saying, who do you want them to? Who do you want this to? Who do you want to accomplish this?
I want the United States.
They're not.
I just said that, Judah. I've said it now about 10 times.
I'm saying, I'm asking you.
I agree with you. They're not going to do it.
So who would you like them to do?
We should do it.
Okay, but that's what I said. It's we're talking about something that's not going to.
Look, I love you, guy, but your analysis here is what has gotten us into the deep shit. Okay? Oh, we can't do this. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, we can't do this. We can't do that. Now we're in the deep shit, aren't we? So this is the problem. It needs to be done now before it's too late.
Like we're talking in circles. You keep on saying we need to do this now. I'm asking you, who's going to do it now?
We should do it now. The United States should do it now.
Who?
The United States. Our military and Israel and perhaps Saudi Arabia. The Europeans don't have the guts to do it.
I agree, but we're not going to do it.
I'm agreeing with you on that. I'm agreeing with you on that.
So I'm saying, so we're having a moot point because there's nobody that's going to be doing it.
I want the people to understand, okay, that on this Memorial Day, we have a military that we do not allow to do the job that it was designed to do. Instead, we go into wars without any intention of winning. We pull out, we sacrifice our brave men and women. They wind up dead or maimed. And this is the state of affairs of our military. And that's why we need to honor them. And it's also why new recruits need to be educated. You know, the military has a hard time getting people these days. Nobody wants, or not nobody, but a lot of people don't want to join because why are you going to join to be misused like that by our government, our so-called government? Why would you do that? Why, as a parent, would you let your kid go into the military these days when they're more concerned with all these woke issues and social issues than actually allowing our military to fight? Look what happened in Afghanistan for a long time under Obama. You know, terrorists could shoot at our troops, but we couldn't shoot back. So basically, we had to be hit. Wait to be hit with a. There was a movie about that. I forget the name of it. You know, with the American. What was it? American Sharpshooter or something like that. Sniper. Yeah. You know, this is the way we treat our military. And if you're going to have a military, at the right moment, use it. And use it in a way that you win a war. Ronald Reagan, that was his doctrine. You don't get into something you don't intend to win. And in fact, even Colin Powell, who I didn't care for too much, said that. You know, if you're going to go into Iraq and you're going to break it, you better be prepared to win. We never were prepared to win.
I don't disagree with you. And as somebody just brought up in the YouTube, in the comments, this administration is not going to do what we both think should be done.
I agree with you. And this is why we're in a revolutionary mode, aren't we? We are.
Yes. But
yeah, we're in a revolutionary mode. It's not going to be you or me that ignites it, but it could very well happen. And it could be the military. You know, it was about 3 or 4 years ago that I think there were 400 or so retired admirals and generals. I know many of them. Some have passed away since then, like Admiral Lyons, who was the commander of the 6th Fleet, you know, over there in Asia, who sent a letter to Biden, which said either you shape up or ship out. And they were in effect saying that if you're not going to take care of business, we'll make sure that you're out of there. I don't know what you want to call it a coup d'etat or whatever, but we're dangerously close to that. And this is something that no one wants to see. But consequently, you know, those people who are no longer in the military that are out there, and remember the way it was, the way we were, to some extent, not fully, in the past, particularly from World War II vintage, they know what we're dealing with. We're in significant jeopardy and danger. And unless we do something quickly, it's going to be much worse.
I agree with you 100%, but there is no quickly at this point. Okay, I know you can't say who you're voting for or who you want in, but January 20th,
where I just can't advocate who to vote for.
January 20th obviously can't come quick enough. I don't even know at that point what could be done, but you
raised a good point, Judah. Here's the thing about January 20th of next year, is that we're going to have a civil war here, and it's going to be very hard to address these issues as well, because if Trump wins, this country is going up in flames. And there are going to be people in the streets, the left, the radicals, the Antifas, the Black Lives Matters, the radical so-called Palestinians. They're not even Palestinians because they're good Palestinians. These people are just simply terrorist surrogates. And this country's going up in flames. And we better be prepared for that. And that's why I say to our supporters, go out and buy yourself some guns, get prepared. Don't use them offensively, use them defensively, but take steps to protect your family. You have about 6 months because they're going to be coming for you. And you're going to be coming for you particularly if you're a white male. And I hate to say that, but it's true. They're going to be coming for you if you're Jewish. They're going to be coming for you if you're Christian. They're going to be coming for you generally because that's where it's going to be. And it doesn't matter whether you're right or whether you're wrong, but we're in serious jeopardy.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. But as easily, the reality is we're seeing so much discord in the world, and we have been witnessing because we've abdicated our power. That's just the reality.
That I agree with you. I'll stipulate to that. And we
That
use our power. It's not just that we abdicated it. We don't use it.
right. But we had 4 years. I know you didn't get I know the Iranian nuclear site wasn't exploded, where we had peace, prosperity, where the Abraham Accords were on the way, where normalization with countries that we want normalization with. That means both of us.
Well, that's good, Judah. But here's the thing. You can go along for years and be in good health, and all of a sudden one day you wake up and you see this big lump. If you're a woman in your breast or a man, somewhere else, and the fact that you had some good years where it hadn't metastasized yet, great. But then you got cancer. What are you going to do about it? You want to die, or do you or forget that it ever happened and say, okay, I screwed up. I never went to the doctors. Too bad. I'll just die now. You're going to take care of it. You're going to excise it. You're going to deal with it. And that's what we have to do now.
Yeah, I don't. Listen. I agree with you that Iran needs to be shut down. I agree with you on all those things. My point was they were becoming shut down, and there was a way to do it, and we were doing it. And within one moment, all those things stopped. And we are witnessing catastrophic events around the world happen because of those decisions. There's nothing we could do right now to stop these catastrophic decisions. There's nothing.
Let me make a prediction. And I want to be more positive. I did a podcast this week where I said I want to be more positive. I was
Well, I
talking
mean,
how to win. How to
anything
win.
I try, any positivity I try to bring up.
But to be positive, to be positive, you have to have a plan.
Well, I've already
plan here. The only plan is, oh, we screwed up. Okay, okay, we screwed up. What are we going to do now? That's my point.
But my point is that my point is that we very quickly, within a 4-year period, got a lot of things done, and extremely quickly. People that weren't paying their bills started pay their bills. Iran was broke. We started normalizations with countries that you and I never thought we'd have normalization with, countries that caused 9/11, that you and I both are sort of supporters of at this point. I would say we both support what's going on in Saudi Arabia. I don't want to speak for you 100%, but
I do.
Right. So if somebody would have told you a certain amount of time ago that we'd both be saying this about Saudi Arabia, they would have thought we were crazy. Trump did all those things in 3.5, 4 years with everything that was going on. Biggest mistake he made was giving up control of our. Sorry.
All right. That's fine. I agree with you. But what do we do now?
What do we do now? We get back to that. We get back with that big stick.
Do we write a book about how great Trump was, or do we actually take action?
Well, the action is getting him back in.
Let me tell you something. Biden's going to be gone. Okay, he's going to be gone in short order. Okay, sinking faster than the Titanic. It is a very good chance they get a neutral Democrat in there, a moderate Democrat, and Trump will lose. Very good chance of that. Even Gavin Newsom will probably win because the American people, not our supporters, but those who just vote on the basis of appearance, are going to want a young guy It looks like, he has life. Not that Trump doesn't, but there's a very good chance he could win. Just like Biden won, last time, or Obama won, before. So we better start thinking now and not wait and just hope and rock back like some people in my family do, not my immediate family, but extended family, and figure, oh, I'm just going to watch Fox News. I'll have a martini. I won't do anything. Leave it to the Republicans to do it. Well, what have the Republicans done in the past? They haven't done shit. And I know I'm using the word shit a lot during the show, but I'm angry. Okay? So I apologize to those who don't like that word, but sometimes it applies. So Trump is not the political Messiah. That's the bottom line. He's not. There's only one Messiah. For Christians, he's come, is Jesus. For Jews, they're waiting for him. Okay? But there's no Messiah politically. So the American people better think it through pretty quickly. Because, again, I'm not going to advocate violence, but I wouldn't mind if the government was gone tomorrow. We have no government.
I got to go in a couple seconds.
Okay. Well, go to your bomb shelter, okay? People are building bomb shelters now, Judah. It's unbelievable. Rich people are building these super bomb shelters, with video and entertainment centers and golf monitors and whatever, When I was a kid, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, everybody wanted to have a bomb shelter. I was frightened to death, 10 years old. I looked to see where in the school I could go to hide. I had nightmares for years, and it was far less worse than it is today.
Right, but listen, you started off by saying you want to be positive. Any solution I bring up, it's not a positive thing.
No,
What I'm simply saying is, I'm
bringing up solutions. Not Donald Trump.
I've given you 10 solutions. You're just unwilling to hear those solutions.
To simply, raise the price of oil is not a solution right now.
When did I say raise the price of oil?
Hey, you're advocating bombing the oil wells. Iranian oil well.
I said that was part of one of those things that would cause severe damage to Iran that doesn't necessarily
they're going to have a nuclear. They can have one right now. They have enough right now. All they have to do is assemble it.
Okay, that you're referring to one specific thing I said with the refineries, but I said in 8 months, there's no solution right now. You want me to offer you a solution right now? There's zero solution right now.
A solution. Whether it happens remains to be seen. And getting back to Israel.
Okay, so yes. Okay, you know what? I agree with you. Solution is yes, Biden. Please, after everything you've done to screw up this world and this country, yes, please. I know now by listening to me, you're going to go and blow up the Iranian nuclear facility. Yes, that's exactly.
You ever see any of these movies? I forget the names of them, where the military, for worse, actually, because we never thought that would happen, nor did we want it to happen, but took control. I think we're on the verge of that right now. I think there are people in the military that probably are thinking about taking control and waging a coup d'etat. I really do believe that. No one wants to see that happen, but I think we're on the verge of it.
I hope you're probably right. I pray you are.
No, I mean, I've heard it. I've heard it. I always say, don't say that, but I've heard it.
And no, I pray you're right, but no doubt.
And this is where we have been driven to that point. God forbid.
Yes, I agree.
I love you, Guy. I appreciate what you have to say. You made some really good points. My only difference with what you're saying is that now it's time to fish or cut bait. Now it's time to do what needs to be done. And we cannot wait around with the hope that President Trump will be elected, because once he's elected, this country is going up in flames, and it's going to be very hard to accomplish anything even then. So
well said.
We better think it through. We better think it through quickly, because we're on the verge of a worldwide Holocaust.
Well said. Let's remind people who you belong to and who you are.
Yes, I'm the chairman and general counsel of Freedom Watch, the founder of Judicial Watch. I run Freedom Watch today. I hope people will go to freedomwatchusa.org and contribute to us with tax-deductible contributions. We need it because the hapless, Republicans have siphoned away money from conservative public interest groups in particular, and in particular, Freedom Watch. We need it badly. I hope you'll support us. freedomwatchusa.org. We're unafraid. We will say what we believe needs to be done. Larry Klayman will stick his neck out. I won't couch things for my own personal benefit like most lawyers will. And, I'll do whatever I can to try to save this country. But I'm only one person, and we need your help at Freedom Watch. freedomwatchusa.org. Same for Judah with what he does. He does a great job in commentary, and he also is the host of The World According to Ben Stein, our great mutual friend.
And that is one thing I will agree with Larry on 100%. Freedom Watch is extremely important. And Larry's doing work that most people are scared to do and won't do. So that is one thing I 100% agree with him on. And the difference between us and most other people is we're going to have a great conversation after this. And because that's what normal people are able to do, is are able to have rational discussion.
Yeah, no, we respect each other. We love each other. And, I don't think we're that far off. It's just a question, what do we do now? Now's the time to pull the pin. And frankly, to get the job done. At some point, what did Popeye used to say when I was a kid? Enough is enough, and enough is too much.
Yes, 100%. On that note,
get your spinach ready, and let's roll, brother Judah.
Sounds like a plan. Have a great weekend, my friend.
You too. And again, God bless our servicemen and women. They are